And that's it. Now we're live.
Hello, hello.
And now we're here. And yeah,
Live and
I'm
kicking.
going to just gradually get us warmed up and start talking as people filter in and give them time to kind of set up and everything. But we are live. I am talking to Carlos Rosas today. We have a very special event planned. We're going to be talking about How to Train Your Dragon, both the original version that came out in, I believe it was 2010, right, Carlos? It's 2010?
Yes, that is correct.
The original version of 2010, but then there was also this little film that came out recently, the beginning of summer, that also raised a few eyebrows and was just a beautiful film. Both of them are, but we're going to talk about both. Carlos has the distinction of having worked on both of those films. So that's why we're going to be talking to Carlos today, and we've got a really fun presentation. I'm going to just spiel a little bit while people are still coming in and checking it out. First of all, my name is Scott Claus. Maybe you can see on the screen. I'm the head of 2D and 3D animation at CG Spectrum, this amazing and wonderful online school that we work for, where you can get both a diploma degree, like a certificate, and we call that career track, or you can also get an actual degree, an accredited full program that we offer. And it's all online, so you can do it from the comfort of your own home. And all of this you can find at cgspectrum.com if you look it up online. We'll also have links available here, clickable links here that you'll be able to click on if you want to just go direct and look up this school. I will mention that our next term for CGSI, which is our accredited program, is going to be starting around September, beginning of September. I think it's September 8th. You can check that out. So be sure and check out cgspectrum.com if you are interested in learning about digital art. And by that, I mean not only what we're doing today. Well, look, there it is. There's our live link. If you go ahead and click on this, I've been told that will take you directly to our website. But you can also just go to cgspectrum.com. But yeah, we teach things like animation, 3D animation, what we're going to be talking about today. And again, Carlos is in a great position for this because both character, which is maybe a little more cartoony, and creature animation, creature effects animation, which is a little more live action, realistic. I'll let Carlos explain that. But we teach that stuff. And along with that, we teach things like concept art and effect, Houdini. We even do Unreal Engine and things, and we're expanding, starting in with storyboarding and some great stuff. So be sure and check us out when you get a chance. Now, as this event is going on today, this stream that we're doing, please feel free to chat with us. We offer a chat option, so send us a message anytime. We're going to have a question and answer period at the end, but please feel free to just drop us a line at any time if you have questions. We'd love to hear from you. And at the end of today, we'll try to get to as many of those as we possibly can between Carlos and myself. So just don't be shy. Ask us questions anytime. We have someone fielding, and we'll try to give you guys some answers. So yeah, sit back and relax. First, we're going to have Carlos give us a presentation. We've got visual aids and everything. And then Carlos and I are probably going to do a little bit of chatting about the industry and the state of things, the future of things as we see it. And then we'll open up for questions, and that's where we're going to be at for today. So first up, I'd like to give a virtual hand to Carlos Rosas, who's got a very impressive pedigree as an animator. You can check out his qualifications. Maybe, Carlos, you can tell us a little bit about it too. And who is now going to talk to us about working on how to train your dragons.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me, and hello, everybody. This is going to be quite brief, but hopefully there'll be some interesting facts and information for you. So can we go on to the next slide, please? So the DreamWorks animated version is beloved. I was fortunate to work on it when I was there, and also fortunate to work on Framestore's version. And with the Framestore's version, there were challenges, and that was to translate these characters into a reality that audiences could feel and believe. We worked hand in hand with director Dean Dubois who also directed with Chris Sanders the original version, and we also worked with production VFX supervisor Christian Mantz. And we wanted to keep the heart and soul of these dragons alive and create convincing interactions with their riders that would make them truly live. Work started in 2002, and Framestore served as the sole VFX house for the live-action version. This is quite unusual in these days. Usually the work is divided up into several different studios, so this was quite an accomplishment. And we delivered 1,422 shots, which is a lot. And crafted 279 assets and created multiple full CG environments and impressive fire-breathing effects and more. There was some early exploration, making Toothless a little more animal-like, but that was quite a challenge because we also wanted to make sure that we know and appreciate the Toothless as a character from the feature animation version.
We're gonna circle back to that later, I think, Carlos, because I think a
Yeah,
lot of people
absolutely
want to hear about that
Okay.
transition. Yeah.
And then, with tests, we tried to change the eye's shape and size, for example, but quickly found out that it was better to stick to the original design. And Toothless being a very recognizable and beloved character, there was a real concern that if we changed it too much, we wouldn't have that magic connection with the audience. So moving on to, yes, this side. Can we go back? Thank you. In terms of performance, I'm just going to concentrate on Toothless today, just because time is the essence. And the important thing to maintain with this character, as I mentioned, was keeping the behavior of the character. And at these points, hopefully, suggest this. So we basically wanted to keep everything that Toothless was as a character. Next slide, please. So Toothless, along with the other dragons, is a combination of many different characters, animals, which helps the audience to emotionally connect with the character as they have recognizable traits that people understand. So things like dogs. I think one of the animators in the original version used his pet as reference, and along with many other animals, including bats and geckos and reptiles, snakes. So the artistry and the creativity is putting all these together and making something that making a character that is believable. So reference is essential, and as these slides suggest, you can see Toothless in some of these. And so for his expression and familiar Toothless smile, we added extra details around the mouth using iguana and snake references. And we used some dog's mouth as reference for details on the gums and corners of the mouth, as you can see in the slides. Before we created the shots, we created walk cycles and flying cycles based on these creatures, including big cats and panthers and bats for the flying cycles. But above all, there was a will from the filmmakers to retain some of the cuteness of the animated versions. Versions, plural. So in the How to Train Your Dragon world, each dragon is quite unique in their shapes and behaviors. So we created these animation vignettes, which are little clips, little actions and animations to show their personality. And the same tests were actually used in the film, some of them. You might also find some similarity between the Deadly Nana and vultures. And a Nightmare used iguana and lizard performance, and the Gronkle was a combination of like hippos and like a bulldogs, especially.
Carlos, did you ever use any real animals in the studio? Did they ever go to the zoo or anything, or did you mostly just use footage?
Not for this show, but I have worked on shows where we'll bring in some animals and have one-to-one knowledge and experience with them.
Reference is so important, isn't it? It's just essential for this sort of thing.
It really is, and especially if something is grounded in reality, you really do have to pay close attention to the world around you, and anything can be used as reference in VFX movies. Sheep and some crazy reference I've used before. I didn't know bats could swim until I needed to do that. It's something that I find fascinating about animation. It just keeps me interested even after all these years. Yes, can we continue, please? Snakes, skins were very prominent in Toothless, along with reptiles, as I mentioned. So I just wanted to cover this point that filmmaking and animation involves teamwork and a lot of people with specific talents. And they all, culminate in what we see in the movies and TV. And so, in this instance, to create a movie like this, we need the talent of artists, technology, engineers, performers, artists, and dreamers. We're all kind of dreamers in a way. And we're all working in perfect sync to bring magic to life in a way that feels emotional as it is epic. This is a typical VFX pipeline, and I don't know if I've got time to go through with it.
Well, interestingly enough, I know you know this, but just for anybody who's out there listening and curious, note where animation sits in this list, because as a pipeline, this is the direction that the work flows. And so things start out with an idea, previs and post-vis, and then they're working out the camera and then shooting plates and things, and then working out, okay, layout, where's things going to go? What are we going to hand off to the animators? And then the animators get it. But notice that they're kind of down far at the end of this list, meaning a lot of times the animators are waiting. And then all of a sudden they say, okay, now hurry up and get this stuff done. And then and then imagine, even with that kind of pressure, then lighting and comp get it after. And they're like, okay, the film is coming out in 2 weeks. Are you guys done? So that
Exactly.
was something I learned late in my career, was really understanding the pipeline and all the different jobs that are available and where you fit in, and like you said, working as a symphony together to make sure that it all comes off nicely,
Exactly.
whatever you specialize in.
And this doesn't even include the disciplines before filmmaking is even done. Yeah. You've got modelers and textures that need to create these assets, and they work in parallel with the layout to fit all those assets into a virtual CG scene.
Right.
And if we could move on to the next one. So I just thought I'd add this
awesome.
to show a before and after of how a shot is created. You can see that the actor is sitting on a rig that is emulating the motion of a dragon, in this instance, flying. The people that created the motion for the rig used animation, and the animators worked closely with making that connection believable. And then, if we could go on to the next slide, this is how it's all integrated to make it feel like the actor is really sitting on a dragon in a fantastical world.
This just makes it look so simple, doesn't it? It's like, just snap your
Oh
fingers.
yes, it's just one click and it's done. That's how it is.
No, that's
absolutely
awesome.
Not. And then to finish it off, sorry,
please.
did you have
go ahead? Keep going.
Just to finish this off, I just wanted to, can we go on to the next slide? Just add a little bit of trivia. So the end of the film was the sequence that I worked mostly with on at Framestore, and with the help of all the other animators, I think it was quite a spectacle. And yes, Red Death was in this version 3 times as big as the animated version, and Dean Dubois mentioned early on in the design that the design from the original was a bit rushed, and this time around they had more time to explore the character, add textures and a lot more detail to her, and yes, she is a her, a big her. It's like three city blocks. It was incredible. And then added details like a giant crest, and the horn on the nose, and I think that the extra time definitely paid off. And that is the very brief slides we have.
I have all sorts of questions, today. And I know that our audience does. We actually do have a very specific question that I thought was a good one from Laura Keat. They asked, was pretty much everything on the most recent version, was it shot in front of a blue screen, or like I used to work with little cards sometimes of people and things. Can you adjust that?
Yes. So it was actually filmed a lot in Iceland, and all the environments are based on locations around the world. And then, yes, some of the dragon interaction was blue screen, but to make it feel as real as possible, there were a lot of live action locations.
Yeah, nice. Now, I want to kind of circle back now that we talked a little bit about the movie, and we'll come back to that. We've got, like I said, I have a lot of questions that I think everyone would like to know. But I wanted to just talk about your personal journey a little bit. One of the biggest questions I'm asked by students, potential students, is how do I get into this business? What if I want to animate on the next Dragons film? And right now I'm sitting here and I'd like to be over there. And while none of us can predict where someone can go, and we can't, if anyone tells you, oh yeah, just do this and you'll get in, that will work, don't listen to them, because that's not how it works. But there is something I think to be said about how you get into the business. For me, I fell into it with a combination of luck, right time, right place, and then I just really, really, really wanted it badly, and that was my North Star. I didn't let anything stop me. Maybe if I'd have known how hard it was, I wouldn't have done it. But I'm a little curious if you could just sort of briefly tell us, how did you end up getting into animation? School?
Well, I actually learned mostly on the job, but only because I didn't really know that I wanted to go into animation until later on. So I actually started in games and early CD media before there was internet, and would do these pixel little drawings and animation. That got me into working on a PlayStation 1 game. That's how old I am. And
like,
then,
what's that again?
yeah, we're in double digits now. And from there, I was able to start my career, funnily enough, at Framestore in London, working on Walking with Dinosaurs, which started production in 1996. And what is funny is that it's still being made now, like 30 years later. They're still making the series, and of course the animation and everything is film quality. They look real. It's quite amazing, the evolution. Um, and from there, after some other projects, I worked at Framestore, moved to New Zealand to work on a little collection of films called Lord of the Rings. That was an incredible incredible time, and stayed there for 3 years. From there, I felt like I wanted to expand my animation horizons and not just concentrate on creature work, but performance. Animation was really my next goal. So fortunately, and as you mentioned, there's a lot of timing, luck, and just got a good opportunity. I got a job at DreamWorks and was there for 11 years. I managed to work on many different projects, because even within the performance or feature animation discipline, it can range from super cartoony, like the Madagascars of the world, to I guess How to Train Your Dragon 3, which was getting into the realms of very realistic for an animated film, at least. And then went back to England to Jungle Book, and then worked at DNEG, and then finally back at Framestore. So come full circle.
Yeah, nice. This is kind of related to one of the questions we just got. Do you feel, I know how I feel about this, but I'm curious about you. Do you feel that one of the key things about being able to get into one of these studios is that you actually know people, like you meet someone who helps you or recommends you, or do you think that there's any validity to that?
I think that plays a part. Connecting with mentors helps, and especially in online schools that have the like CG Spectrum, like that has the connections with studios. And then I have to say that I think the decision for CG Spectrum to have initiatives like Game Changer is actually a game changer. The fact that we prepare the animators to work on shots and create an environment that mimics studios really helps. So I think this is really incredible, that particular initiative. And then, yeah, just being able to have time doing animation
Keep practicing.
Also extreme. Yeah, it's all this help. Learning from YouTube clips and tutorials is good, but the only way to get better is practice and yeah, making lots of keyframes and making mistakes and learning from those. That is the only way to really learn.
Now, just speaking of which, so I may have neglected to mention this. So you, Carlos, you are actually a mentor with CG Spectrum, where I'm the head of animation, and you joined us. I actually don't remember. It seems like it's been forever because I feel like I've known you, but it's been a few years now. And what I think is interesting is you still are working, like you just worked on How to Train Your Dragon, and yet you also have time and follow your passion to help kind of pay it forward and teach. And to anyone out there, like if you sign up with this, you may end up with Carlos as your instructor. But what was that like? Like, how did you get into? And again, I promise we're going to go back to some specific dragon stuff. But what was it like to start teaching? What motivated that? Why teach?
I've actually started teaching when I did, funnily enough, the special for How to Train Your Dragons, the Christmas version. I was the DreamWorks was associated with San Jose State. I decided that would be a good opportunity to start teaching and paying it back forward, and it helped some animators that I taught, and I just got the urge to continue that. And when you contacted me about joining, I jumped at the chance because this is it was just a great opportunity to continue that momentum and teach the up and coming generation.
And I think that's something, and this kind of addresses one of the questions we got, that part of being enthusiastic about this stuff, whether it's animation or concept art or whatever you're into, game design, is that you prove it. You show that you're interested in this stuff by reaching out to others and discussing with others and taking classes, volunteering your time. And that is a way of showing the universe or whatever that you are actually really excited about this. And then stuff starts to fall in place. Unfortunately, some of us, particularly some of us introverts, may not act like it, but yes, I'm an introvert just like everyone else. We want to kind of stay in our bubble of safety and just work on our stuff and not get a lot of outside criticism and things. But if you want to work in this business, again, I'm sure Carlos, you can attest to this, you have to get used to interacting with others and working as a team, taking criticism. And so for those of you who are getting started in life, you just need to put yourself out there and just keep putting yourself out there, and don't take no for an answer, and let your goals be your star that you follow. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, you, even when you are working, there's iterations of shots that go on for a while, but with the help of your colleagues and supervisors, you get better and you improve. You make mistakes, but it's the only way to move forward. So yeah.
So all right. So now I want to get into a few specifics. Just answer whatever you can, if you can. But my first I'm very curious. So did you deal with Chris Sanders very much? I mean, 2 films, and he's kind of the guiding force with that character, at least with Toothless.
That's right. Yeah, funnily enough, I don't know if any of you noticed the similarities between Stitch from Lilo and Stitch and
We did.
Dragons
'Cause I was at Disney when they
Toothless.
were working on Lilo and Stitch, so I'm like, wait, Toothless is just
Yes. So yes, that's all due to Chris Sanders, and yeah, on the first film, we all the animators interacted with Dean Dubois and Chris Sanders, and they were just the best. So enthusiastic, and it was infectious. I loved working in that environment. Yeah, in feature animation, you tend to work directly with the directors, and it just that one-on-one, it just makes it feel that you're part of the process, and even adding ideas that they hadn't thought of, and just trying to improve the final product, and but the creativity is what pushes us all.
yeah. Well, and that's what I thought. I mean, I didn't deal with Chris Sanders personally. I was actually at the Crosstown Rival Studio at that time, but my friends were working on Lilo and Stitch, and what impressed me so much was just that vision, like a very specific vision of how the character should be. And I think he did the voice, right, for Lilo, for Stitch.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so it's like a very specific vision, and that he was able to like convey that vision, and nobody stopped him from doing it, and it was successful, and so you got to keep doing it. That I think we're going to start seeing more and more of that. I think as young artists are coming up and doing it themselves, I'm very excited to see that. But would you think? Do you agree that like that's a pretty singular vision that Chris had?
Yes, and I think that with somebody with that talent, you completely you want to continue and
Rally around.
help with that vision.
Yeah, for sure.
As I say, it's infectious when you know that there is somebody that has that uh, foresight and the ideas, and you think, yeah, I want to jump on that with
Yeah,
them, and make it the best
yeah.
thing that
Follow
it can
the
be.
yeah, for sure. Now, as someone who worked on, not to flex, but like I worked on 2D, and then I worked on 3D character, and then 3D creature stuff.
Right.
I was really fascinated when I made the leap at the difference between character animation, which is more of the cutesy bit, like Kung
Mhm.
Fu Panda, and then creature effects, which is you're integrating live action stuff. And especially with this film, Toothless is such a specific character and very, like that is the movie in a lot of ways. Was there
Mhm.
anything? Do you guys have discussions, and especially since you worked on both? That's why we're here. I'm just amazed. Were there discussions about, okay, we're doing things a little different this time, and yet trying to maintain what we had, but different? Did you guys have talks about that stuff?
Yeah, so there's we wanted to maintain the personality and behaviors of Toothless. That couldn't really change. It was just fitting him in a real environment. That was the trick. And with live action plates, it is slightly more technical because you are having to integrate something that isn't real into a real environment, and that takes creativity, and especially uh, when with a plate, you're kind of fixed on a certain angle, a certain action, but there is creativity in pushing that as far as you can, and still maintaining a sense of realism, and the integration into a real world.
For sure. Now, since you also, like me, you bounce back and forth between character and
Mm.
creature, do you think do you have a favorite, or do you think that there's a big difference, or is it like, it's all just animation to me?
I don't think it is just animation. I
don't either,
feel
but
like performance is a little more is a little harder, a little more challenging. But that's what drives me, and I want to be. Well, I think all animators are basically actors, hiding behind a screen in reality, and we all want to make something that's inanimate feel alive. That is the essence of animation, but also exaggerating life to some degree, depending on the type of animation. That's exciting. But what I actually love about animation is it's not just moving things around. You do have to have, especially with performance, an understanding of human behavior, how humans react with each other. You have to have an understanding of physics and real world properties, anatomy, and so animation, you never stop learning. There's always something to add to that repertoire that you build up over the years, and I enjoy the detail in a facial expression, and bringing out an emotion that a character has, and maybe hiding what they're really trying to say, but making that believable to an audience. That's something special. That's what you kind of always aim for, is just making the audience believe in what you're animating, and making them feel, having that emotional connection. That's the goal.
Do you remember what your first credit was? Like the first time you went to a theater or cinema and saw your work or saw your name?
I guess it was Lord of the Rings.
Wow, that's a nice
And
one to
then
start with.
it was quite a peak, and my career's just dropping since then.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, as evidenced by the failure of How to Train Your Dragon last summer. Yeah. No, that's
I
amazing.
peaked too early.
Yeah. So we talked earlier about things like reference. And for anybody who joined us late, we started with a bit of a presentation. This is going to be recorded, so you can go back and watch this later. We're going to post it. If you miss it, don't worry about it. But we were looking at reference. We were looking at how you got into the world of these characters and what they were based on. I'm curious, how much time did you have to prep and get into the headspace with these scenes you worked on? Did they just throw you down to your desk and say, okay, here are your notes, now go make it magic? Or did they give you some time to really absorb all that reference footage and stuff?
Yes, so you do have some time to just get into the characters and understand the best way to animate them. On a technical point, you have to know which controls are the best ones to use, because there's hundreds and hundreds of controls, and you need to find the right combination, along with trying to find the performance and the behavior of the characters you're animating. So you definitely need time. I can just hark back to the feature animation version, and we actually, Simon Otto, the animation director, set up a flight school.
Hello, Simon. How are you doing? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I geeked out a little bit. Sorry, keep going.
He set up a flight school for the animators that were coming on board, which involved just replicating a flight cycle, and just animating one of the dragons that was in the film, just to get up to speed before we actually did any production shots. And we had a flight mechanism that we used just for economy, that was set up. Each frame was meticulously crafted to feel like a real flight wing beat, and with that you could scale up and down the frequency and the range, and that was really helpful in just getting the work done on time. But yeah, we still needed to know the fundamentals of how a bird or a flying creature actually stayed up in the air, and that was absolutely incredible, just to have that time to study flying creatures, and has still helped me to this day with that. So and I think it all boils down to the fact that fundamentals and understanding, not just copying real life, is the essence of making something feel real.
Yeah, the essence of it. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question kind of based on that too. Back in the Disney days, they would cast us, and so they would assign us to a specific character. And like Pocahontas, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be drawing Pocahontas. They just threw me on this character. But when we transferred over into the CG animation world, you do whatever character's in the scene, and you have to be up on that character's personality and their mechanics and the techniques of the rig, and you just, okay, go. Was it like that? Has it always been like that for you too, as far back as Lord of the Rings, or did they cast you specifically sometimes?
Yes, I do think for Lord of the Rings, that was a very specific time, because on the first film there was just a handful of animators, and it's crazy, really, when you think about it. And Gollum hadn't really made an appearance yet until the second film, so we were mostly doing creature work, big trolls and Balrogs, and we all had a go at each character. I think depending on what type of film, what type of schedule, I've worked in movies where you are a lead, or you have a lead that understands a particular character really well, and you under his team. But then also, I've had projects where it's just we have to know each character intimately. I think it just depends on the environment and the type of film. But if in a perfect world, I think it really helps to know a character inside and out, and just I think just everything is smoother, and I think it shows in the final products that there is an understanding of each character intimately.
For sure, and then also to the dramatic elements. I know, like, again, not to flex, but like on Life of Pi, they were like, okay, you're going to do this sequence where he's training the tiger, and he's using a 3D animated stick, and when I say 3D, I mean it's like in 3 dimensions.
Right.
And the stick wasn't real, the boat wasn't real, the tiger wasn't, the ocean sky wasn't, and they even, by the way, they had us change cameras, like we were camera people on that. But what struck me was, okay, so I have to be like, I'm not directing this thing, but I have to be in charge of this sequence, and then I have to divvy it up to individuals who I think would be best for that sequence. And but like you said, they all have to know everything. Yeah, they have to know how to do everything because at any point they could be given something. But I don't know about you, but there comes a point where people sort of rise to the occasion, or some don't, and you kind of go, okay, well, did you see any of that with Toothless? Like, I figure everybody wanted to have the best Toothless scenes, but like certainly they must have said, oh no, this one's going to this animator or over here.
Right. I think it's in terms of in the VFX environment, it's who understands the character as soon as possible. I think there is more about superiority. I think leads, because they are looking over a specific sequence that has that particular character, that they have the better shots, I guess, and then juniors tend to have to prove themselves, and
Sure.
I think there's a lot of that. I remember when I was lead on Baloo, I had to do all the groundwork, creating the walk cycles, and trying to get his behavior, but also maintain the fact that he is a bear, with a little bit of the actor that is completely lost on me right now.
I know, don't remember the name too. I know you're
Yeah,
talking about getting
but
old.
yes, but you have to inject some of the actor's personality in the character, and then any sequence that was had Baloo, I was looking after, and had a team of animators with me working on that particular character. Yes.
So one of the questions is great. Thanks for your questions, Laura Keith. These are good. Yeah. Are you a plant? No. So one of the things I get asked a lot is, how much creativity do I have on a show, or, show meaning a project? How much am I going to be able to interpret? And I say, certainly with animation, you are doing a lot of creative stuff. But I think there's a mistake. People don't maybe understand that, it's a team. And one person
Yes.
designs it, one person enacts the design, creates the rig, rigs it, etc. And that your goal is to try and make it look like one person did do it all. Is that kind of what you find?
Yes, I don't think there is an art in trying to maintain the continuity over many shots. Um, but the the creativity comes from understanding what the client or director it has a vision for, and trying to deliver that. But I think as an animator, you can't help but inject your own self into it. I've worked on characters that are real, but I've had to do my own reference, and so part of me is in there,
Right.
however small. Literally, the way I talk, I think, has an impact. Well, not just I, but anybody. They have their own personality traits, their own way of speaking. Some of that does come through. I remember in the feature animation, you could tell who animated certain shots, because I don't think it would be evident to the general audience, but I know that whoever worked on a shot within a team, you could tell that they did it because of the way they acted, and had their facial animation just felt a little bit like them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think there's a little bit more freedom in feature animation, because you are you do have a lot more interaction with the director generally, and then you can input ideas, and there is a bit of back and forth that you don't really get from a client vendor relationship. But that doesn't stop you from still adding creativity and coming up with ideas that help the vision of the client.
Maybe we should clarify that too. First, Mahmood, I think what you're asking, I can vouch for this. At DreamWorks, they had a proprietary software that was called Emo, and then which I learned, and then it turned into Primo, which I played with, I don't know, a year or so ago. I went to DreamWorks.
Oh my goodness, that's so
hung
cool.
out with it. I really liked it. I thought it was wonderful, and I wish I had that all along. But I don't know about other parts of the pipeline, but certainly Primo was theirs. It came from up north, PD, I believe, and then they started.
Dream.
No sooner had I learned Maya, and I had to suddenly learn this new thing. But it was wonderful, and So, were you guys using Maya the whole time at Framestore? Or did you work on Emo or Primo at Dream when you were
yes.
you guys did work on it.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Right from the start on Shrek 2, I was working on Emo. And I think
I didn't know you worked on Shrek 2. We never talked about that. Wow. Look at you, man.
Yeah.
Just gets better and better.
Those were the golden years. Yes. And just as a side note, I got to sit next to James Baxter while I'm working on some of those. Wow. That was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Yes, Emo up until How to Train Your Dragon, I think. And then, Primo after that. And it was such a dream because it was an animation.
Sorry.
Very good. Animation software written and designed by animators for animators, and it was incredible. And then coming back to Maya was a little bit of a step down.
No, nothing against Maya. We use it to train with. So
Maya is still the industry standard. It's always improving, and there's no doubt that is still the one and only software. And for a production environment, I think Blender is up and coming, and but that I think they're two different markets.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to something that you were just kind of alluding to, so when I was working at Disney and DreamWorks, I mean, they built the buildings that currently stand for us and moved us into them. And we were there on location, and we were padding around in our socks at midnight, going and talking to whoever was around, and at the crazy hours we did. And it wasn't until I left DreamWorks that I realized, there are studios that you work at that are kind of satellites. And that leads us to you. That's a little bit kind of what you do with Framestore, right? I mean, you worked for DreamWorks.
Yes.
But you work for Framestore currently. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that relationship works?
At Framestore, there are multiple locations around the world, and seem to be growing.
It's a fantastic studio.
Yes, it is. It is. I would say number one in the VFX vendor market. I think along with DNEG. DNEG's definitely up there too. And they both have locations in like Melbourne, London, Montreal, Vancouver for DNEG, and probably other ones that I can't remember. But yes, I think remote work is still a thing. But I will say it's more important that the juniors and people entering the industry do work in a group environment. I think that's the quickest way to learn. I think once you become established, I think it's easier to remote work. depending on the studio. Some are more open to that than others, and it has been. I'd say that was the only thing COVID was good for. It allowed. It allowed the idea that you could work from home, and the work wouldn't drop dramatically. In fact, in some instances, I think it's improved. But yeah, I think yeah. So I have been working remotely for Framestore last.
Completely? Somebody just asked that question. Are you 100%
Yes.
remote?
So yes, they did close down the Vancouver studio.
Oh, that's right. I remember you talking about
but that they are still using remote workers at the moment. Anything can change. The industry is definitely changing, and
shall we talk about that a little bit? But yeah, sorry.
Well, I
know everybody's just going like this. Are we going to talk about it or not talk about it?
That was my way of maybe segueing
into
that discussion. If we've got time.
We've got time, and I know it's on everyone's mind. So first off, let's just get the elephant out of the room because everybody wants to talk about it. You and I have talked about it, but everyone's all worked up about this little thing called AI. Yes. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? So, and I know, again, you and I have talked about this, but just for the record, maybe talk a little bit about your thoughts on the subject.
Well, I think AI is this buzzword right now. I think the important thing is the rules need to be set. I think it's a bit like the Wild West. Copyright is a huge issue. Once that is sorted, I think then we can talk about how much it might affect us. But there's always been disruptive technology way back when the printing presses, and then TV, the internet,
2D to 3D animation. I was at Ground Zero for that one.
Yeah, but I feel like there might be a resurgence.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But there was definitely a point where they're like, okay, no more 2D, everything 3D, and we're like, wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
But that's another story. But in terms of technology.
Yes, and then even within animation, there was the mocap. Everybody thought, oh, well, you can just mocap everything. And at the end of the day, it is a tool that you still need the creativity and the talent to be able to press the right buttons. And the key, I think, is adaptation. You just have to stay with the, what is happening and make it the best, make it work for you. And, I don't think it's like all, there's no jobs in animation anymore. I really don't see that. I think it's just more, how do we integrate it into our workflows? Just going back to the mocap analogy, that it's ended up being used in work that you don't really want to do. It's like mostly for like crowd work and things in the background. It's just really fast, a tool to get things looking busy. And I feel like there is a similarity with AI. It will be hopefully used for things that will help you and not replace you.
Yeah, once things settle down. I know right now I talk to a lot of young people, and if you even mention the word, they bristle and clam up, and I'm like, guys, people, that's not how you're going to win. You can't just run away from it. You have to figure out how to work with. We can't undo what we've done, so let's beat it by joining joining in or something.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way: not there isn't going to be a button that says "Make me a movie." Otherwise, everybody could do it, and there
It's worth
wouldn't be
nothing.
any artist. Everything will look,
Yeah.
just muted. So you still need like the fundamentals, the creativity to be able to use the tool, and make your life easier. I feel, and not replace you.
But what about the concept? Because again, I know I would assume a lot of people watching this right now are interested in their own careers and maybe starting out, and things like walk cycles and moving holds in 2D and stuff. That was a way for entry level position jobs. That's a
Yes.
way to get your foot in the door. Have you seen over the past few years, 5 years, 10 years, is there a decline
Mhm.
in entry level positions, young people, juniors, or are they still, yeah, see, I don't think so either. I
No,
think
absolutely not. I think there's absolutely room for
maybe the reverse,
new
like
people to.
the old vets are like, okay,
Yeah,
what?
it's like, yeah, I'm gonna maybe have to look for a job and a new career. But the fact is that no, you need new blood to inject into this industry. I think that's only a good thing. Um, I forgot what we were. What was the?
Well, I'm just kind of like if I'm a young person starting out and I'm trying to get over the hump of I'm sitting here with my CV and my
Oh
reel,
yeah, walk cycles.
and here's the
Yes.
studio. It used to be there were all these, I don't want to call them mundane, but sort of junior level tasks that would you could get in the studio,
Yes.
do those, and then you'd rise. But what do you
I
think
think
is the future?
no, that is still there. I think in pre-production, you still need to do walk cycles, and just as a way to test rigs and explore the performance side of character creation. I don't think that's going away anytime soon, especially for four-legged creatures or fantastical creatures. That's essential. The What I do think is that because there is so much information out there, that everything, entry level is so much higher than it was when I started out. So a walk cycle on a reel, I don't think quite cuts it. I think you need not only a performance or a personality injected into that walk cycle, it has to feel part of a bigger performance. You absolutely have to know how to
You need to
do
know
walk
how to do
cycles,
it. But yeah,
and you also need to know, how something moves, and that is a great way of learning, how a character moves, and it's not as easy as you think. There's you have to know body mechanics and the fundamentals of animation, to be able to put those in place, and create something that is believable and looks like it is walking and living. Um, yeah, it's something that you have to practice. There is hundreds and hundreds of tutorials, but you need somebody that can guide you into why you're making something move. There has to be a reason for a character to move from A to B. It's not just moving things around. There has to be a reason, and generally, when you animate a shot, say, you're not really constantly having the character move around just because you can. But that's not. doesn't feel real. The character has a mind. It needs to. It won't move until it has a reason to move. And one of the things I find is that animators can't help but make things move for the sake of it. And sometimes you just want the simplicity and simple ideas are the best. And if a character is sitting in a chair, and you want to make them move from A to B, there's a very you have to, again, know body mechanics. You have to kind of get behind why the character wants to move from A to B, because there's a million ways that you could do it, but you need to know why. What's the motivation of the character? What are they thinking? What's the intention behind that movement? And those are the types of things you kind of need to think about. It isn't, and I think that's why not everybody can be an animator, and why it's special to be.
Yeah, and getting back to the ugly question of AI, if you've watched enough of those, and I have watched tons of them, because I think, at least at first, I thought they were fascinating, but you very quickly you see how soulless they are. They just they feel kind of like, I don't know, eating too much junk food or something. That you're missing this. There's a wall of disconnect, and not for everybody, but for when you're talking about art, you can feel that connection, and you've talked about that earlier, about connecting with an audience and speaking to them in a language that we all kind of agree on. And that brings me, getting back to the dragons again, what was the direction like? Sometimes on shows I worked on, we'd read the script, we'd watch the animatic reel, previs reel, if anybody doesn't know what that is, but it's like, work in progress reel with dialogue and music. And then we'd have the director talk. What was it like? How did they convey to you, the heart of things and the emotion, the things that you're trying to pull out as an animator on the dragon films?
Well, I think just for economy and just trying to get the essence of the shot, it really helps to stick to the post-viz or pre-viz. The directors generally, or the higher up creatives, have spent a long time trying to figure out, what that sequence of shots is about, and so that's pretty locked down generally, and you're just taking that as a template and making it believable. So yes, you have a good starting point, but it's not just copying that. It is making it better and injecting life into those ideas.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. We have a little bit of an under the hood question, and so without us losing too many people and talking too much too technically, but there's some interest in the rigs and things like the skin sims and stuff. Did you poke into the other departments and watch that? I know that when we did it, we would look at the fur sims, and we had the power. I didn't exert it, but we had the power to go, that fur doesn't look quite right. It's a little bit too wet. Can we take it back and have you guys run it again? And did you have much involvement with that stuff?
I think I don't. I'm going to put myself in a
you can't talk about
it. But no. It's more about just animators. Depending on the studio, have a more creative say, because we're in charge of the performance, and if there is like the hair issue or something that involves performance, we would be able to put our point across, let's say, and but in terms of the process after animation, which is CFX and dynamics, I have to say I always keep an eye on it because I love what they do. I have no idea what they're doing, but it just makes us look better.
Yeah, amazing.
I absolutely adore looking at what happens after animation is done. Not only CFX, but the lighting and comp once it's integrated. Everybody is super talented, and I just, as I say, it just makes us look better.
Yeah, I remember sitting on a Sunday morning looking at dailies and just like, oh my God, I'm sitting on a Sunday morning working, and then all of a sudden on this big multi-million-dollar screen, the images pop up, and they weren't even the final comps or renders, and just going, this is why I do this. I do this for this.
Yes.
Even more so than sitting in a cinema and looking up there and going, wow, that thing exists on its own. It doesn't even need me anymore. It's going to go off and have its own life. It's such a powerful
thing.
Yeah, do you agree?
No, I love everybody that adds to the work that you've done in your little bit of the whole process. It's it just keeps you going.
Real quick question: did you use any plugins or proprietary like tricks, overlap and follow through stuff on any shows? I know, like in Emo, we were using a plugin for Tails and stuff on Over the Hedge for like.
Yes, I think it's also dependent on how much time in pre-production you have to have the tools for a particular show that will help the whole process. That there's each studio has their own tools. They've been working on shows forever, and it just each show adds another tool that will help another show, and so on and so forth. So I mean, there's animation libraries, overlapping tools, retiming tools.
Yay!
And just
retiming tools save your carcass many times.
I will say that Animbot is a bit of a savior, and luckily most studios are on board with that and have it. But I feel like Maya really needs that set of tools. It's so useful. The one that I love the most is the auto save, which has saved me days of pain.
Yes.
And
save again, iterate up, save and iterate up again.
Yeah, that is the vein of technology. Is if you lose work, it's like.
So there's a question. I feel like we've kind of talked about this, but I'm not sure we completely answered it. Again, this is personal. I'm being a little selfish here, but I am really just fascinated. On the one hand, you've got realistic dragons. On the other hand, you have cartoony dragons, and there's like character animation, and there's realistic animation. Can you talk a little bit about that transition between the two? Like, the question is how realistic were the dragons supposed to be this summer for the recent live action version? But I think that opens the door to one of the reasons we're here. You did character stuff, you did creature stuff, and is there anything you can comment on?
I think at the end of the day, it's just getting the audience on board with the world that you are creating. I think where the magic is, if you can create any crazy world as long as and then once the audience understands that world, then they are completely on board. But what the problem is if you start changing those rules, then it's like the audience doesn't get it, and everything, the illusion falls apart. But in both Dragons movies, we are still going for realism. I think, though, it's just those rules are slightly different. I think we had a bit more opportunity to. Well, I actually think they're creative in their own respect. The difference is plates. I think that definitely changes the way you approach the work. And then on the feature side, you weren't just animating dinosaurs, the dragons.
Yeah.
You were also animating
the
humans.
Yeah.
And so you had more control over that interaction, which was fun.
So just to clarify, in case anybody kind of missed that, when you do a live action version of a film like the one that came out this summer, they shot the film and they already had the setups with the actors responding to things that weren't really there on the set or just proxies and things. And then the animator has to fit that stuff to the pre-shot plates. Whereas in the original DreamWorks film, you'd get a set and you get the characters in the set, and then you do all the animation for the human characters and the dragons. And I think that creates such a unique difference. There's a different mindset that goes in. Like you said, you're constrained when you have those plates in a way you weren't necessarily when you had full control of the whole set.
Yeah, I think with live action versions, you still want to use plates and the real actors as much as possible. I think there is instances where we've had to use CG versions of the actors to go above and beyond reality and just push it a little bit further. But it's still maintaining their performances and their the way they act. You still want to inject some of that into your performance on the CG versions. But
Sure.
yeah, there were quite a number of shots that had to be just fully CG. And then the animators even have for some of the flight shots the ability to take over the camera and make it even more dynamic. So you were almost becoming like a cinematographer. And so understanding cameras and what you can and can't do is also another level that is you can constantly learn to and add to your repertoire of anatomy and
understanding
all
the
the things that I
technical.
mentioned. Yes.
We have a question too. Like what tech setup should we recommend? And I think, in my humble opinion, like you could start with Blender. Blender's free. You can go out and get it right now. You may not be able to use that on shows, so you might want to learn Maya. But these are software programs. These are tools. These are things that you use to learn technically. But what we teach at the school, a little plug, but I think you vouch too, Carlos, is we're teaching you animation, and that's something that you don't just pick up. You don't learn it, but it's a torch that gets passed from animator to student, from mentor to student. Do you kind of agree with that?
100%. It's not about which software is the best. It's about how to use it, and the only way to do that is know the 12 principles, observing the world, it's just like a tool that you can take that information and apply it to any software, any animation software, and the rules will still apply. It's vital that I keep going back to the fundamentals, but it's really is. You can't know enough about that stuff, and it's always
either. You either know or you
yeah.
can't.
Yes, and that's what is so great about CGS, that you are taught those fundamentals, and that you can apply it to any software.
So we've got about 10 minutes left. You guys have been great asking questions, but now's your chance. If you have any final thoughts or questions you want to hit for Carlos or myself or about the school, anything at all, let me know, or let us know, tell us in chat. But just to kind of wrap up, I know you can't talk about it too much, but is there anything exciting coming up on your horizon professionally? Or again, I know you can't talk too much about what it is, but we're getting a lot of questions about it, and we can't answer those. I'm sorry, guys. We can't talk about specifics.
No, I can say that there is plenty of shows coming up, especially towards the end of the year. I'm working on a fun project that incorporates real world creatures with performance. And at Framestore, I think that's something that they shoot for. Those are the projects they shoot for. Is very animated and creature orientated shows that also use live action, but it all boils down to the performance. Performance is key. And I've gone off a tangent, but yes, I'm enjoying the show that I'm working on, and I think there is a lot of new shows that have been awarded that they're looking for. Well, they will be looking for people. So it's not like the industry is dying. I think it's just shifting, and there's plenty of room for talented people.
Yeah, I've been noticing a lot more animal actors being replaced by CG. So instead of having an animal on a set and with a trainer, they're actually using, for various reasons, they're using CG animals, and that's like great. That's plenty of work for people out there to replace animals with CG. So I think awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's just easier to direct,
Right.
but I think that's where I'm just going to go back to the AI. That isn't going to be.
Face it. Don't fight it.
Yeah, well, it isn't going to happen anytime soon, because it's not about just pressing the button and then it's a finished work. Our work involves iterations, and that is really hard to do in AI, especially over a sequence of shots. To get that continuity is nigh impossible right now. I know there's lots of evangelists saying, yeah, you can do that, but it's to have that those iterations, and that specific direction. It takes talented people to make it happen.
We had a comment about animatronics. I love animatronics too. I'm still waiting. I don't know about Walt, Uncle Walt, that they've signed. I haven't seen it live. I don't know if that at Disneyland, if that looks good or not. But yeah, I love robots. But yeah, I think CGI is still probably. I don't know. I mean, they use some practical stuff on the set, right, for Dragon?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So anytime the actors were on Dragons, the live action plate involved the actors on a mechanical version of the dragon that they were riding, and there was a lot of integration in and back and forth with animation and these mechanical rigs, and that they're so good these days. It's not like, you know, really stuttery. It's smooth as silk, and that they also, you know, really help the actors to get into that scene, which was only great for us because, you know, it's a big cycle and back and forth, and that it just helps that integration.
Yeah, for sure. So we're kind of winding down a little bit. I want to just see if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave for the people who showed up today, or just in general.
Well, if you know, like movies, you like animation, there's still plenty of room for enthusiastic, talented people, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. So it's still this is a great opportunity to learn something that you love, that and will be able to get better as the years go on, and I still love it after all these years. I still feel like I'm learning, and so it's been amazing. And the fact is that you're kind of emotionally connected, good or bad, to your art, and you know you want it to be the best it can be, and you know, I know there's the pressures of time, and but you know, if you love it enough, you'll always find that time. But I also want to say life-work balance is incredibly important for longevity.
Yes.
So please bear that in mind as well.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think you summed it up well. And I always say this too. It's, you know, love what you do and do what you love, and you're always doing the right thing. And
Yeah.
so
But yeah, learn the fundamentals and
don't be afraid of work.
don't be afraid of work, and then just observe life. Just observe the world around you. That will also play a part in your getting better as an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, not necessarily even animation, just
just
every
I always say
discipline.
that the things that we teach you at our school, you're going to get to keep those, and you're going to take them with you wherever you go, and you'll use them in amazing ways. Things I started out with, you know, at the beginning of my career, I found myself using on the last few productions I worked on, and I use it to this day. So the journey, just keep telling yourself that, you know, it's kind of cliche, but it's true. The journey, not the destination. Love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Love it while you're doing it, even the parts that where you're sitting there trying to get a job. It's like, it's important. You'll see later. Well, I would really like to say thank you so much, Carlos. I could just sit and talk to you all night, and I can because we're at the school. No, but thank you so much for lending us your time and for those great visuals. If you joined us late, we have some really cool visuals at the beginning of the presentation. And thank you for all the amazing work that you've done that has entertained us for so many years. And we look forward to following you into your next journey, wherever it takes you. And
thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure was ours. And to those of you out there, if you're interested in hearing more about this stuff, we have presentations like this periodically. Look for the next one. Follow us. Look for us. The link is currently on the screen. That's a live link. You can click on it, or so I'm told. And this is going to be recorded, so if you want to watch it again, tell your friends. But cgspectrum.com, where the magic happens, where you get to do it yourself. And that's who's presented this today. So thank you to CG Spectrum. Come join us. Come check us out. And again, thank you for joining us, Carlos, and to everybody out there. It's been really fun. I hope you guys had a fun time too.
Thanks so much.
So we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
See ya.
And I don't know about you, Carlos, but I'm going to leave. So we'll turn it off.